Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mike, and in Bioshock, Rapture is a utopian city rested nicely at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. As a living, breathing city, Rapture is a genuinely well-intentioned utopia featuring a skyline that rivals that of New York City. The man behind Rapture? Andrew Ryan. So what if Rapture was real? To put it bluntly, Rapture is a technological nightmare, but in this video, we're not only going to assume that Rapture does exist, but it exists just as it does in the game, which just so happens to be at about 433 kilometers west of Iceland at a depth of about 2,200 meters. At this depth, the water above you would apply a pressure of 21,570 kilopascals, or 213 times that of normal atmospheric pressure. Not to mention, the water temperature would be totally freezing. At this depth, there is no chance Rapture could actually exist, not with the technology from the 1940s, or with the technology of today. Although the water pressure on Rapture would be extreme, if it was located a few hundred miles northeast, water depths could be manageable at around 760 meters. Manipulation of the Archimedes principle at this depth could keep the city afloat. Take the Freedom Tower, for example. Assuming it was completely watertight, Freedom Tower would actually float. In fact, the water pressure above the tower plus the force of gravity is only a little bit more than the actual buoyant force. Not only would the structure not get crushed from the water above, it would actually be about 2/3 lighter than it was on the surface. Though bringing it to the bottom of the ocean and bolting it to the floor is another challenge. I have been somewhat misleading, however. Lateral pressure would be immense, causing it to crush like a hot can in cold water. There are design considerations that could be made, but at this scale, the effectiveness would be questionable. Not to mention, erosion would eat away at the metal and concrete, and joints would begin to leak. Basically, repairs would be a logistical nightmare. For a modern city to exist underwater, a few design considerations need to be made. Atmospheric conditions need to be maintained, food production needs to be sustainable, and energy production needs to be stable. In the game, Hephaestus is a power facility that uses the real-life, naturally occurring geothermal vents found in the region to produce electricity. Geothermal activity could be a disaster structurally, but in terms of heat and energy, it's really the only thing keeping Rapture alive. Geothermal activity is important to Rapture because at its depth, the water temperature can be sub-zero and no natural light can penetrate. This geothermal heat could be used to produce steam, to run power plants, but also to be piped for space heating. According to the game, Arcadia is the living, breathing lungs of Rapture, supplying the precious oxygen the city needs to survive. In the game, it's noted that Arcadia is responsible for all of the oxygen for Rapture, but it's unclear what the population of Rapture is. Assuming the population was around 3 million, that many people would exhale 2.7 million kilograms of CO2 every day, which is equivalent in mass to about 540 fully grown elephants. At those levels, Rapture would need over 45 million large trees to absorb it all. Even though there likely wouldn't be enough plant life to sustain the environment, there are supplementary means for oxygen production. Looking towards the International Space Station for inspiration, electrolysis of water is the process of splitting water into its elementary parts of oxygen and hydrogen. The oxygen is used to breathe, and the hydrogen can be used in desalination plants to produce fresh water. No utopia could survive, however, and Rapture is no exception. Rapture could never survive. The ocean was always going to take it back. Although the signs of erosion are becoming more pronounced, Rapture was destroyed from the inside out. Rapture suffered from one fundamental flaw, a flaw that was intrinsic to its nature. It was isolated. What destroys civilizations faster than erosion are people in confined spaces with nowhere to escape. It's no surprise that human nature got the best of Rapture. In fact, there are numerous studies on the psychology of human isolation and confinement. Psychological health is a major concern, for example, on manned missions to Mars. In fact, there was a 520-day experiment where a handful of people simulated a mission to Mars, and the results mirrored that of Rapture, albeit at a much milder level. For starters, the crew suffered mild yet higher levels of depressive symptoms and psychological distress. As crew members' sleep schedules began to sway abnormally, performance swayed with it. In Rapture, this problem is exacerbated by the fact that at 2,200 meters below the surface, no natural light penetrates, fracturing the body's natural circadian rhythm. It's amazing that Rapture thrived as long as it did, but it's no surprise that when society finally did collapse, the populace became psychopathic drug-addicted thugs. As Andrew Ryan once said, "We all make our choices, but in the end, our choices make us." Although there are some inconsistencies about how Rapture was designed and constructed, the world is genuinely a sight to behold. One avenue that was only lightly explored is the theory that Rapture's true location is in fact not where smugglers claimed it to be. My theory is that the city is actually located northeast of the given coordinates, where the water is shallower, which will allow light to pierce the depths and shine into Rapture's plentiful glass architecture. Anyways guys, this has been Mike, and just a quick look at Rapture from the game Bioshock. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below if you want to see other videos on the world of Rapture. I have a few ideas brewing together, but I want to get your feedback. Also, I have a copy of Bioshock for PC ready to give away. The game came out in 2007, so the graphics requirements aren't too great, but it's really fun if you haven't played it. The way to win that is to just go over, follow me on Twitter, and write me a message with the hashtag YoMike, and I'll pick a winner in the next week or so. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching.